All right, welcome. It's Mr. Burns here for May 110, Civics and Economics Teacher Purple Team, Robinson Middle School. And what we're going to do here is Unit 2, Set 2, Vocabulary. This is the second half of the vocab that you can see on the vocab wall in my room. We have 12 words in the set, and you will have a quiz on the due date, which is posted in a classroom and posted on Blackboard in the homework tab. Okay? And then the following week after this is due, we'll have a unit test. Alright, so here we go. Set 2 vocab. You should be copying down the definitions. Your homework will be to do what? Yeah, you know it. To do the your definition column where you come up with your own definition or a synonym or an example. And then the colored visual symbol for homework. Okay. Alright, so the first word is bias. Bias, unfair, prejudice, one-sided opinions. Alright, not taking into account the other side. Example, my dog is better than your dog. Well, of course I think that. It's my dog. I love my dog. You love your dog. Of course you think your dog's better. Not true. My dog's the best. But that's bias. Alright, second word going down. We got editorial. So this is in a newspaper. It could be on an online source. It could be in a magazine. But an editorial written on behalf of the editor gives an opinion. It's going to express an opinion of the editor, of the author, of the newspaper. Sometimes it even takes a stance, a political stance, in support or against one candidate. That's an editorial. Sometimes you'll see this written as op-ed. That's an opinion editorial. That's where someone from outside the paper can write an editorial in the newspaper. All right, we got electors. Electors they're appointed by the political party, and what they do is they cast the official ballot in the Electoral College, which is the group of people that elects the president officially, right? So if your state has, like Virginia, 13 electoral votes, and the Democratic candidate wins, the Democratic candidate has, or Democratic electors cast their official vote for president in December. If the Republican wins in Virginia, then the 13 Republican electors. And these electors are chosen by popular vote among their party, and they are basically party loyalists who will always vote with their party. All right, so that's electors. We'll talk more about that in Electoral College. All right, endorse. To endorse is to give public support. To say that you approve something, to say you are on this side of an issue. Okay, it's always usually done by a public statement. So it could be in a speech, it could be on a commercial, it could be through a newspaper ad or article, it could be in a television interview. Okay, here you see an unqualified candidate, right? Because she's not involved in politics. Oprah Winfrey supporting President Obama back in 2008. All right, here we go. Next page. We have interest groups, not to be confused with political parties, but interest groups focus their support around one political party. I'm sorry. One political issue, not one political party, one political issue. And what they do with that issue is they often lobby, which we'll talk about next, to have Congress and different government officials support their beliefs and vote in the same way. Okay, and they unite amongst this cause. So that's lobbying, or interest groups. Lobbying, which is your next word here, you guys do this all the time with your parents, trying to lobby or influence them to get you to be able to kind of bend the rules a little bit, or stay out a little bit past curfew, or hang out with people that maybe they don't want you to hang out with. And in exchange, you're going to offer them something. You're going to do extra chores or whatever. I don't know what you guys offer to do. I'm not a kid anymore, so I have no clue. But you would influence them in a way that hopefully would work, so that they'll give you what you want in exchange for something, right? That's what interest groups and political action committees do to influence legislation and legislators to vote for or against the bill. All right, next we have PACs, or political action committees. PACs are the combination of interest groups, where interest groups band together, or labor unions or corporations band together. And these political action committees pool their resources and their money together, contribute it to campaigns, so that's a way that candidates fundraise is by accepting money from PACs, and then the more money you raise in a campaign, the easier it is to win the election. We'll learn about that when we talk about campaign spending. But you'll see the influence that PACs and money has on elections. All right, next we have the popular vote. Okay, you've probably heard of the popular vote in a general election, in a local state election. What you have there is the person who wins gets more votes, majority rule, right? Majority rule, they get more votes, they win. But it's not like that in the presidential election with the Electoral College. Okay? Presidential election, the popular vote is done by state. And then if your candidate wins the state, that candidate gets all the electoral votes, and then whoever gets the 270 wins. So it's done a little bit differently in the presidential election. The popular vote by state is what matters, not the popular vote overall. And you saw that in the 2016 election. You saw that in 2000. You've seen that in a couple other elections in the past. But it's a tricky thing with the popular vote. Should the popular vote elect the president? Well, some people say yes. The more people vote for that person. Some people say, well, then small towns and rural areas and suburban areas will not be represented in the election because candidates will only have to campaign in big cities. So there's positives and negatives to each side. All right, next we have the propaganda. You've seen this ad maybe from World War I. Loose lips might sink ships, and that is propaganda is used like a advertisement used to promote an issue or support a candidate or to go against another candidate or support an issue or go against another issue. Depends on what it's being used for, but this is a lot of where connections between propaganda and political action committees. They raise money, and then money is used for advertisements to support that issue or again go against another issue. All right, public policy. We'll talk about this later in the unit, but how the government responds to an issue. So we got something going on, and the government needs to respond. Do they write a new law? Do they change a past law? Do they keep things the same? Do they enforce the law in a different way? Like, what is the government going to do to take action to this problem? So an example in this cartoon here is pollution. What is the government going to do to change? How are they going to loosen business practices? Are they going to tighten things up? Are they going to pass some new regulations? What are they going to do? That's public policy. All right, two more. We got two-party system. We have a two-party system. Predominantly Democrats, Republicans, the most influential political parties in our system. Third parties have a role, but third parties generally bring up new issues but don't usually win elections. The reason we have a two-party system is because of the way we elect the president. The Electoral College, you need a majority, 270 to win. So therefore, in order to get one more than half, two parties to get there. If you have three parties, you would often have an issue with not getting the 270. All right. And then we have the winner-take-all system, and we talked about this a little bit earlier with the popular vote, but a candidate that wins the most popular votes in that state gets all the electoral votes in the presidential election. The goal is to win 270. If you get to 270, you become president. If you don't get to 270, you don't. If we don't get to 270 by any of the candidates somehow, whether a third party wins or we get 269 and 269, then it goes into the House of Representatives for a vote. This is a winner-take-all, just like the guy here who wins the World Series of Poker tournament. All right, again, vocab is due. Check the due dates, quiz that day. Make sure you do this for homework in the next couple weeks. If you have questions, you can ask and let me know. All right, thank you.